Hello. I wanted to take a minute to talk about licensing. Ever since I've started sharing my designs, I've had several people ask if they could sell my design, and the short answer to that is no. I've even had a couple people come back and offer to give me a percentage of what they make, and the answer to that is still no. So I thought I'd take a few minutes to discuss why you can't sell the design and what you can and can't do with it, because I've had questions about that also. So every major maker site I've seen has a place for a license. And if you look at my Arduino site here, here's my Kiln program. And you can see here's the license here. It's that CC link right there. It's kind of cryptic. Or if we look on Instructables, they have a little teeny link to the license. Or if we look on Thingiverse and we scroll, this is my sock machine. If we scroll down the left side, here's the license here. And so what is it? Well, it's a copyright license. It's a legally binding document that says what you can and can't do with the design. And when you download a design, you're agreeing to the terms and conditions in this license. So, whenever you want to post something, when you want to share something, each site lets the maker choose what license they want to use. And there's several to choose from. And some are very restrictive and some are very open. And this is the one I use. It's called Creative Commons Non-Commercial Share Alike. And if we click on that link, it'll take me to their site. And you can see Creative Commons is the company that puts this out. And so what can you do with it? Well, you can share a design. You can modify the design. You can see that right there. With some other terms on it. So if you want to share, you've got to give credit back to the original design, you've got to give a link to the license, and you've got to show if any changes or what changes were made. And this is why you can't sell the design. This is a non-commercial license, and if we click on the link, you can't do anything with it with the intent for monetary compensation. And lastly, this is called a share-alike license. And what that means is if you want to modify the design and share it with other people, that's fine, you can do that, but you have to use the same license that the original person used. So let's go through some scenarios and talk about what you can do with a design. So like on my sock machine, let's say you download the files for the sock machine, you want to print it for yourself on your 3D printer. You can absolutely do that. That's the whole intent of this, is for you to print it out. Let's say you want to make changes to it. Let's say you want to change the handle design, or you want to put big flames on the side of that. You can do that. Let's say on the Kiln controller, you want to change the program. Say you want to look at what happens whenever somebody opens the door and throws a switch on there. You can do that. As long as it's for your personal use, you can make changes to it. So let's say you want to share your designs, things that you've changed. Let's say you've come up with a really nifty handle design that you've made and you want to share it with people. First, I encourage you to do that. That's what this is all about. We want to try to improve on the designs here. There's no way that I'm going to make the perfect design on here. I've got little to no experience on sock knitting, so somebody's going to be able to improve on that. And like I say, I encourage that. But if you want to do that and post it, you just got to do a few things per the license. You got to give credit to the original design. You got to show what changes were made, and you got to use the same license. So Thingiverse calls these a remix, and here's a remix of the sock machine here. And you can see Thingiverse does a fair job here. They give credit back to the original design where it was remixed from. But if you look at the license, you can see they use a different license than what I did. And Thingiverse does not regulate that use the same license as a share-alike. So if we look at that license, we can come up here and see it's a different license, and you could actually sell that per that license. So Could you sell it? Well, no, you can't sell it, because since I used a share-alike license originally, that means that any designs, any remixes, or a remix of a remix has got to use the same license. So even though they didn't use the same license, the original license is actually going to trump um, their design, and you can't sell remixes of this. So let's say you want to make a sock machine for a friend or family member for a birthday, or somebody in your knitting group. I have no problem with that, as long as you're only doing it for a few people. It's someone that you know, and you're not trying to make money off it. Let's say, you know, they're going to give you 20 bucks for the filament, or they say, I'm going to give you a roll of filament. Can you print this for me? I have no problem with that, as long as you're only doing a couple, and you're not doing it with the intent to make money. So let's say what can't you do? So let's say I've had a couple people come back and say, hey, I've made a design for a kiln. It's for heat treating knife blanks, and I want to start selling it with your program in it. No, you can't do that. This is a non-commercial license. You can't use my program in your commercial kiln, and I don't even want to talk about the liability issues with that. So let's say you're on Facebook, and you're on a group dedicated to sock machines, and you're telling people, hey, I'll make you a sock machine for money. No, you can't do that. This is a non-commercial license on that. So you may be asking, why do I care? You know, I'm not trying to make money off this. Why do I care about this? Well, I do care about it. You know, I could have sold these designs, but I wanted to keep them open source. I've benefited greatly from the open source community, and I imagine several of you have too. And this is just my small way of trying to give back to the community. You know, I put a large amount of hours into some of these designs. You know, I looked on the sock machine. I don't have the hours I put in, but I've got over 300 saves on that file. And it's my hope that you're going to honor that by following the license. And that applies to my design or any other maker's designs out there. So that's probably enough preaching for today. Thanks for listening.